They came without warning. Creatures made of thunder and shadow, their bodies stitched together by living lightning. They moved like storms given form, writhing, cracking, alive. Their eyes burned like broken stars. The elder stepped back, his breath caught in his throat. "The storm that hunts wings," he whispered, the words barely audible over the distant rumble of thunder. Legend said this storm was not born of weather, but of loss. It was a living grief, a vortex that fed on forgotten songs and stolen magic. Every wing it touched lost its light. Every sky it crossed fell silent. No birds, no wind, no dreams of flight. Only an empty hollow blue and a suffocating fear. Maya felt it long before she saw it. Her wings, usually a shimmering silver, trembled uncontrollably. It wasn't from the cold. It was a deep, bone-chilling recognition, as if an old nightmare had just walked into the room. The elder, his face etched with a gravity she'd never seen before, turned to her. For the first time, his voice lost its usual sternness and softened with a strange mix of sorrow and hope. He knelt before her, an act that sent a ripple of shock through the onlookers. "You were chosen," he said, his voice a low, urgent murmur, "because you still remember how to listen." Maya swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. Around them, the city held its breath. On rooftops and balconies, people stared upward, their faces pale masks of dread. They watched the sky, but they never truly heard it. Most humans had long forgotten that the sky had a voice, a song of its own. But Maya hadn't. She remembered being small, lying on her back in fields of green, wondering what clouds felt like against her skin. She remembered pressing her ear to open windows during storms, not out of fear, but curiosity, listening for a secret language hidden within the chaos. She whispered to the wind when no one else was listening. And sometimes, just sometimes, the wind had whispered back. As if in response to her very presence, the sky song, a faint pulsing sphere of light hovering high above the city, reacted. A subtle chime echoed in the air, a vibration that felt less like sound and more like a memory. A warm, golden light began to streak through the silver of her wings. Maya gasped softly, staring at them in disbelief. "I didn't do this," she stammered. The elder smiled, but it was a sad, weary expression. "No," he replied gently. "You remembered." The storm reached the edge of the city. The sky began to convulse, clouds collapsing inward like failing lungs. A piercing scream of wind tore through the streets, rattling towers and shaking windows until they chattered like frightened teeth. Below, the faint, desperate wail of alarms began to echo through the concrete canyons. "Maya," the elder said, his voice urgent and sharp against the rising gale. "The sky song can be healed, but only if someone sings it back into the world." Her breath hitched. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through her. I don't know how," she whispered, the words stolen by the wind. He stepped close, so close she could feel the warmth from his body, and placed a hand over her heart. "You already do." Maya closed her eyes, shutting out the encroaching darkness and the terrified faces below. She didn't try to think. She just remembered. She remembered the first time she had stared at the clouds, thinking they looked like unfinished dreams. She remembered a jasmine-scented dream where she flew without fear, her wings carrying her through a sky that was kind. She remembered the pure, unburdened joy of flight, back before wings became weapons, before the sky learned to forget its own name. Her wings unfurled wide, wider than they ever had before, catching the dim light. And she sang, not with her voice, but with her heart. A single crystal-clear note burst from her chest. It didn't shout. It rippled through the air like light dancing on still water. The sky itself seemed to shudder, to pause. And then, for the first time in an age, it answered. The storm roared in absolute fury. A violent crash of thunder shook the very foundations of the world. Lightning, no longer just a thread but a vicious claw, tore through the clouds, lashing directly toward Maya. "This is only the beginning," the elder shouted, his voice nearly lost in the wind's shriek. "You must carry the song beyond the city. Maya opened her eyes. Above her, the sky song, that last glowing fragment of hope, began to crack under the strain. She raised her arms, instinctively bracing for it to shatter into a million dark pieces. But it didn't shatter into darkness. It exploded into light. Hundreds of shining fragments, like fireflies made of starlight, swirled around her. They felt alive, laughing, singing, each one a tiny note in a forgotten melody. And then, one by one, they sank into her wings. Power rushed through her. It was warm, ancient, and unbelievably familiar, like coming home to a place she'd only ever visited in dreams. She rose higher, effortlessly. Above the tallest towers. Above the fear that had held her down. Above the doubt that had clipped her wings. Below her, the storm surged upward, its rage amplified, its darkness more profound. But it was no longer alone in the sky. The silence was broken. The sky was no longer a passive victim. It was choosing sides. Maya hovered at the very edge of the tempest. An abyss of darkness and chaos lay ahead. A dawn of golden light bloomed behind her. Her wings didn't just shine anymore. They burned like a sunrise, a defiant blaze against the night. For the first time, the storm hesitated. It was just for a moment, a split second of uncertainty in its relentless assault. But it was there. Maya took a deep, steadying breath. Then, with a resolve that felt both new and eternal, she flew straight toward it, a streak of golden light blazing in her wake. For the first time since the song began to fade, the sky remembered her name. Thank you so much for watching. If this story captured your imagination, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Until then, fly safe.